Great beginning. I think we're just starting to stir, the resonance is beginning. And we wanted to, before we go too much further, give everyone in the room a chance to share their own stories. What does education mean to you? What does it mean to development? And the question that we have up on the screen is, we want you to turn to two other people, hopefully people that you haven't met before, and ask the question, what does education for development mean to you? And in what ways have you developed through education yourself? And you know, the reason for the name tags was a kind of a nice icebreaker, so you may find something in the image that you selected. I know there was a great one over here with just a little acorn. It looks like an acorn or a tiny seed. But what does education mean for you? What does development mean for you? So we're going to give you about 10 minutes to turn and have a chance to share your own experiences, your own assumptions about education and development. And then we're going to hear back briefly from the whole. So take a moment now to enjoy connecting with people sitting beside you or behind you or in front of you. Who would like to share what they learned, maybe something else that they heard from someone that you met tonight about what education for development means to them and what ways you have developed through education? And if you could just be acknowledged first, and then so we don't set off too many alarms. But who would like to share? What did you hear? Something that really stood out for you? Before Randolph goes, I'm going to give someone that hasn't had a chance to speak first, okay? Sorry. Anybody else? Okay, right here, okay. What does education for development, what did you hear, or what is your story?
Well, luckily we were all different age groups, so that was good.
Nice.
In terms of knowing...
And please introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Shiraz from SFU. I do research on what grandparents teach grandchildren.
Oh, wonderful.
So I find that the word development, we said, is included in education. All education develops you into certain things, whether you become a Hollywood star, or whether you become Obama, or whether you become some kind of so all education is a development inclusive. What I said, that you don't have to be in the schools to be educated. My mother never went to school, but she taught us so many things that I don't know now where to stop. But I think the whole question of education, we said, is a lifelong journey, and it can be education for freedom to share. Because everything you learn, if you enjoy the freedom to share, the education accumulates and you are always growing. So for us, education for development was the freedom to share your knowledge and experiences without fear or greed or Coca-Cola.
Thank you very much. Very wise. Who else had a story that they'd like to share? Over here. Yes. Hi. What's your name?
My name is Sude, and I'm a student in Resource and Environmental Management at SFU.
Oh, great.
So what I actually had a question first. Education in these terms is normally talking about formal education, and then for the other stuff they say outreach or awareness raising. So when we talked about it, we were thinking of what we've learned through formal education and the other stuff that we've learned. And what we came to is that maybe formal education gives us an identity to some extent in the society. So when people ask you, who are you, they actually mean, what are you? So formal education actually makes us maybe an expert in something. And then the other stuff that we learn, thinking of my own story, adds up to what we know from the formal education. And maybe like formal education never prepares us for real life, but it gives us a background or some framework for thinking, which is not necessarily good, but it's not also bad.
Okay, so lots of ideas there to unpack. Does anyone else have a story around how you were developed through education? Yes, Charles. And don't forget, you're going to be speaking later, so don't tell us your whole story.
Oh, then I'm not going to say that. We were wondering whether education Okay, my name is Charles Christodade, and I'm a professor at Kwandlin Polytechnic University. We were thinking aloud about whether formal education is the answer or education in one's own environment. And we spoke about the fact that education is said to be a tool for empowerment. Education is power. However, we know that a lot of educated people have been quite passive in the face of adversities that affect their own people. We spoke about the Niger Delta. They have a lot of educated people, and yet the oil companies are destroying the environment. And power is, they have no power, and they are powerless. So education, although empowers people, it's all contextual. Who has the power to bring about change, and who has not? So that is what we're, thinking aloud about.
Great. Thank you, Charles. And I think that does connect to the earlier comment about freedom to share what people want to share. Other examples? Yes, right there at the back is Jean.
Thank you so much. My name is Jean de Dieu Hakizimana, and my friend here, Sandra, she asked me a question: what does education for development means to you? And I say, nothing. And she say, what? And she say, means everything to me. And I say, why? And I say, usually, my friend what he just mentioned, someone can have a PhD from my grandmother. And my grandmother is not recognized. Who is a teacher? Who has to be recognized, my grandmother or SFU? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, other comments? And let's go right down to here. And your name, please? Just push the little button. And the light should go on. Yeah.
My name is Maria Reyes, and I'm from a small committee that we support organized communities in El Salvador. Our discussion were more what's the question we made ourselves, what's its development and for who?
Uh-huh.
And the discussion came the development has to be for an individual in order to develop a society. And that education has to be a whole education, so we can develop the individual in order to develop society. So for us, the education for development means that, yes, we have to educate the individual as well, so it can contribute to develop a society in a holistic manner. So we not only can read, write, have a master in something, but also can solve the problems of the society and in the future of the world. So that's our
Okay, thank you.
conclusion.
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to challenge you to tell a personal story about, you're saying that wasn't what you were going to say, because I think there's a lot of theories and opinions. These are important, but I know within each of you, there's a story, there's a moment when something has changed, whether it's in a conversation with your grandmother or something even at SFU or UBC, but where something shifted. And we'd be interested to hear the story. Is there any stories that you heard in your groups? Yes, over here. Yeah, put your mic on, please. I can't hear you. Push the button, yeah. Try it again.
Oh, Leila. Okay, great. So my name's Leila, and it's my personal story.
Okay.
And I might get emotional. Okay, and I've only been able to say this like a month ago, but okay, born in Ontario, daughter of immigrants, and we moved from Kitchener, Ontario to Medicine Hat, Alberta, so southern Alberta when I was 12. And there, I did experience racism, prejudice, and I thought, damn it, they're going to get to know me not just by the color of my skin, but how smart I am. And in Ontario, the only A I got was in penmanship. But in grade 6, when I moved to Ontario, I studied, and I got all A's and everything, and I was voted most likely to succeed in grade 6, grade 9, grade 12. I used education as a way out. And then I went to university and I got 3 degrees and a residency, a doctorate from UBC. And then, like, I believe in health and education as the way out, whether it's poverty, discrimination, racism. So that drove me, but on the other hand, you go overboard, so you don't have quality of life. So now I'm realizing, you know, being a former professor, teaching for 11 years, being a pharmacist for 13 years, like now to take that passion and go overseas, wherever I'm needed, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, to help. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you very much. That really takes us to some new territory, sharing that. So again, the education as change, education as something that allows possibilities, that opens things up. So let's have one more, we'll do one more story. Yes, right here. And please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Hawa. I'm the other co-founder of Point Youth Media. And education for me were the stories my mother, our family were refugees from Somalia, which has been under civil war for the last 20 some odd years. And my version of education are the stories, the traditional stories my mother told us when we were growing up that forced me to question the formal education system that told me Somalian people didn't have stories.
Thank you.